All right, so we got a banger today. Pretty much in this video, I will be sharing and breaking down a live sales call that I recently had at my own lead generation agency where I hop onto this sales call with someone, with a prospect who literally never heard of me before, never heard or seen me before. And at the end of that 20-minute conversation, I walked away collecting $2,500 for my own lead generation agency. And the best part about this is I didn't use any case studies. I didn't do any of those things. And this person who I was trying to sell my services to literally hit me with a bunch of different objections. Oh, I gotta think about it. This costs too much. Let's get started next week. And you will see by the end of this live sales call how I was kind of able to diffuse all of these objections. Now, this video is probably going to be one of the most valuable videos that you will ever come across on YouTube, to be honest with you. And the reason why is because most people who teach how to start an agency, how to start a business, they don't actually run the actual business that they're trying to teach you. And obviously, they don't have any live sales calls. And obviously, I do. Right? And the reason why is because I still run my own lead generation agency. Now, this video, this breakdown has been shared with all of the people that I privately work with one-on-one inside of my consulting business, Inbox Lab, where essentially I'm helping people start their own lead generation agencies and scale to $5,000, $10,000 per month in the next 90 days. It's kind of in a group setting where last week, they got first access to this live sales call. I literally pulled it up in a group call and I literally just played the video, the 20-minute sales call, and I made pauses and stuff like that at each step of the way to kind of explain to people why I'm saying what I'm saying and what's the purpose of it in the context of progressing the sale and leading to closing a deal.
Yeah, it's been pretty good so far. I've learned a lot, learned a lot.
Yeah, no, Jimmy teaches a lot. When I first got on, I was a little skeptical, like, okay, how hard is this gonna be? How much am I gonna learn? But no, he does a good job.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
So this sales call was 2 days ago. And I explicitly did it in a way where for background context, they're a marketing agency. I sent a cold email to them probably like end of last week or Saturday, and they watched through the VSL and then they booked a call. So that's the background context. It was the VSL that I put inside the Discord general chat. It's unlisted on YouTube, right? So that was the background context. She runs a marketing agency. And yeah, okay, so let me just start by playing this. Hey, Vanessa. Hello. Hello. You hear and see me all right?
Yeah, I hear you all right. Hi, how are you?
Pretty busy day. Just back-to-back meetings, but this is the last call of today. But I guess pretty good prompt to have. How about yourself?
I'm doing quite good.
Awesome. Where were you calling in from today?
I'm calling in from New York.
New York, nice. I'm actually up north in Toronto, Canada. Super cold here, but it's cold in New York as well?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's kind of the same every year.
100%. Cool. Well, we do have this on the calendar for 45 minutes. If it's cool with you, we can jump right into it then, shall we?
Yeah.
Cool, Vanessa. So kind of like how I like to structure these calls is I'm just going to start with asking you a couple of questions, learn more about your business, kind of what you sell, what you're doing right now to get sales calls and do lead generation. And if it makes sense, then I'll actually run you over how I think we can potentially help you. And if that makes sense, then we'll make an offer to potentially put together. Sounds good?
Sure.
Got it, Vanessa. So what I did there was I started off with just an icebreaker, right? So I think there's a lot of different ways to go about it. Personally, I don't really like the small talk that much. So even on any sales call I do, I just start with, hey, where are you calling in from? They tell me, I say, oh yeah, well, I'm in Canada. And then I just move right into setting the frame for the actual call. Hey, so in this call, we have it for 40 minutes on the calendar. It can be less, it can be 45 minutes, depending on what we talk about. How I like to structure these calls is I want to start by asking you some questions. So I'm asking for permission to ask them questions because otherwise it will just feel kind of like an interview, right? So I ask for permission to ask them questions, and I explicitly say, if it makes sense, then we'll make an offer to work together, right? So I'm setting that frame up that there's a pitch at the end, right? So it removes, because I think in the past, when I didn't do that, I've had situations where the person didn't know that they're getting pitched, or worse, didn't even know this is a sales call, right? So I'm setting up that frame. So that's what I did in the beginning there. Cool. So I guess my first question is, what got you interested in booking this call today?
I received one of your emails and then I read it through and I saw a couple of videos. So watched them and then I felt like it kind of aligned on what I'm looking for. So
Right.
just thought I might take a chance and come on a call with you.
Got it. And when you say something that it might align with what you're looking for, what does that look like specifically? Okay, so what I'm doing, so notice for like the next, probably like next 5 minutes, I'm just digging what she's saying, right? So I start off by asking what got you interested, and she said she's looking for something that, could potentially align with what she's looking for, but that's pretty broad, right? And it doesn't really tell you, like if someone says that to you, right? You'd be like, what are you talking about, right? So just notice how I'm digging deeper and deeper because that's what I do for probably like the first 10 minutes. This entire call is 20 minutes, by the way. So the, you know, very first time talking to her to closing the deal took 20 minutes. And the discovery was probably the first 5 to maybe 12 to 13 minutes. And I spend maybe like 5 minutes on the actual pitch, talk about what I do. And then the final maybe 5 minutes, just objection handling and closing the deal, right? So that's kind of the overall structure. But just notice how I do the discovery because I just dig deeper. I'm not just asking a question, hearing some really broad answer and moving on to the next question.
So right now I want to generate more sales for my marketing agency. So, and like, get more leads in order to get that. So I just felt like it might work.
Got it. And since it sounds like you're looking to generate more sales calls, what are you doing right now to actually get those sales calls? What are you doing right now currently? What are you doing right now? So she said she wants more sales calls. So whenever you ask them, so you start by asking, what are you doing on this call? Why do you book here? They're going to tell you either like a problem they're having or what they're looking for. Whatever they say, because they're selling lead generation, probably going to say something along the lines, well, we're looking for more sales calls, right? We saw your lead gen agency. We want to find another way. Okay, so you want more sales calls. What are you doing right now? What's your current situation? How are you doing that right now, right? That's the next question you want to ask, right? What are you doing right now after you figure out why they're here?
Right now, what we're doing is through word of mouth and as well as doing LinkedIn posts. But I feel like that's not doing too great. So yeah.
Okay, so a lot of LinkedIn posts and stuff like that. And when you say not doing too great, what does that kind of mean? Like expanding numbers, what does that mean? Digging deeper?
Specific numbers, just more so like we aren't really signing the type of clients that we do. So just to give you a premise, like I said, I have a marketing agency.
Right.
What we do is we do social media management for our clients as well as doing ads for them for e-commerce brands. So basically with these LinkedIn posts, we're just posting a bunch of stuff about what we do. They are hitting people, but they're not really hitting the type of e-commerce brands that we're looking for. It's just kind of like an old general type of audience.
So about problems now.
Want to like more specify a little more.
Got it. And when you say it's not hitting the right type of audience, what type of e-commerce brands do you like typically sell to? Is it like a specific niche, like beauty, apparel, like, or is it more like in terms of revenue? Like, what does that kind of mean in terms of not hitting the specific type of e-commerce brands that you're looking for?
It's more so like we do health and wellness.
Okay.
And like now, like with our like LinkedIn posts, it's just hitting like basically every type of niche that's out there. And we kind of want to really focus back onto like health and wellness.
Right. Got it. So you are getting interest. It's just kind of the wrong type of people, like not really the type of clients that you could potentially serve and work with. What type of impact is that having on your business right now? Okay, so I just asked the consequence question. So she said a problem. Well, what I'm doing right now, it's not doing that well because it's going too broad. It's not the right type of, e-commerce brands. So I hear the problem. My next question is, what is called a consequence question. What does that do for your business? What type of impact does that have? Right? So I'm moving beyond I'm just struggling with getting sales calls, right? Like that's a very surface level. Okay, you're struggling to get sales calls. What type of impact is that having on your business, right? And the goal of that question is to figure out, okay, so, obviously you're struggling to book sales calls. Is it slowing down your business? Are you making less money? Are you potentially going bankrupt? What does that look like? That's ideally the type of answer that I'm looking for. What type of impact does that have for your current situation, for your current business? So that's consequence question.
Because we're not really like hitting the type of, like you said, the type of clients that we're looking for. Like we're not really signing as many deals as I would like us to be.
Right. How many deals are you signing right now?
Around like 5 a month.
Okay, 5 a month. And how many are you looking to sign? Like, what's asking for goals?
The goal around 10 to 20.
Okay. So notice how I think there's different things I would have changed about the sales call because I was looking at it as I was like blurring out the thing, blurring out her image. But I think what I did pretty well is inside the discovery, anything she said that was not very descriptive, I was like, what do you mean by that? Right? So for example, I asked her, I think I asked her the consequence question and she says something like, oh, well, we're just not booking as many sales calls as I want. And I was like, when you say not enough sales, what does that mean? Right? So I'm pulling tangible numbers. And she said, oh yeah, I'm booking 5 calls. And I said, okay, so how many would you want to be booking? So 10 to 20. So I'm starting to create that gap. Right now you're at 5, you want 10 to 20. So you're missing like 15, right? Where's that going to come from? So I'm starting to create that gap between like in her own mind where she realizes that what I'm doing right now is not what I need, right? And you can't sell anyone without that gap. So I'm creating that gap, right? But it all starts with getting specific numbers. That's the most important part, being hyper specific, right? you're kind of looking to double 2 to 4x the amount of lead flow and the amount of sales conversations and the amount of clients looking for.
Yeah.
So I guess, Vanessa, help me understand, why not just, obviously we are a lead generation agency and we specialize in booking sales calls, but why not just, I don't know, continue like posting on LinkedIn, right? Like, why not just double the amount of posts, right? Why even consider looking at other channels at all? Like, why not just kind of like just stick with what you're currently doing right now? I'm trying to understand here. Super powerful question. Help me understand, why not just continue doing what you're currently doing right now to achieve your goals? So this removes the objection at the end of the call where they say, let me just think about it. Let me just try this myself. Because every business, no matter what they are and what they sell, they're doing something to get sales calls, right? It doesn't matter what it is, right? We're a lead generation agency. We do cold emails, but help me understand, why not just continue running some ads? You're at 5 sales calls, you want to get to 20. Why not just increase your ad spend? Why not just, you're doing word of mouth. Why not just talk to more people, right? Why not just go to more networking events? You're doing LinkedIn posts. Why not just triple the amount of posts that you're doing? So this really removes the objection of, I could do this myself. And more importantly, the nature of the question is I'm getting them to say it themselves, right? Because that's the most important part of selling, right? I think where a lot of people go wrong is they think when they sell, they're telling people how great the product or service is. But the best way to sell is for the prospect to say it with their own word, with their own mouth. Hey, we need your help. We need help. We can't do ourselves because of XYZ, because it's clearly not working. So that's kind of what I'm doing here, right? I'm getting her, Vanessa, to open up about why she needs more help with lead generation. And I'm going to use it throughout my pitch and throughout the objection handling parts of the call, right? So super powerful question. Why not just continue doing what you're doing? Why not just double down on that and continue what you're doing to get the result you're looking for?
Well, like, I just think it's not working, like I said before. It's just more so like, it's not going in the right direction that we're going to. And I feel like maybe a lead generation agency might be able to help me divert like my agency into the route that I want us to, achieve, right? Basically going back into the finding leads that are more suitable for the health and wellness kind of niche.
Got it. And what happens if you're just kind of unable to do that? Like, what type of impact would that have on
impact question?
Business, your bottom line? What does that look like for you?
We'll probably have to like lay off some of our media strategists, which is something that I really don't want to do, but seems like looking at where we're heading right now, it might, or like kind of going on to that route kind of thing.
Okay, so notice, I'll send you guys this recording, but notice every question I asked that led to that, right? So her saying, we're gonna go under and we're gonna have to fire staff, right? That's a problem, right? That's a definition of a problem or pain. And the very first thing she said when I first opened the call, notice we're only 5 minutes in, right? But when we first opened the call and I asked her what you're doing here, what are you struggling with? She started off with saying, I'm not booking enough calls. Right now we're booking 5 calls, right? For a lot of people, they think that is the problem, but it's not, right? Like, okay, you're booking 5 calls. Okay, what's the problem with that, right? But over a series of questions, I dig deeper and deeper and deeper until now she's saying, well, I'm going to have to lay off some people. That's the impact it's going to have on my business if I continue doing what I'm doing right now and I don't figure out another solution. So I'm really widening that gap. And that's, objectively speaking, firing people is a pretty bad problem to have, right? If you're the business owner, right? So that's the line of question you want to go. And it's going to be very, very, very hard to close a deal until if you don't hear that type of stuff, right? We're going to have to fire people. We're losing a shit ton of money. We're going to go bankrupt. Until you hear stuff like that, it's going to be very, very hard to close deals, right? Because everything else is too surface level. Right. And if you don't mind me asking, if you continue kind of just doing what you're doing right now, which is just relying on organic or just posting on LinkedIn aimlessly, how many months do you have until you're kind of just forced to just, lay off or fire some of these people on your team? How many months does that look like for you?
I would say maybe like next 6 to 8 months, which is not ideal.
Right. So next couple of months. So so what I did there in her specific situation, I asked her, how long do you have until, I basically said, how much cash do you have in the bank until you're forced to fire people, right? So what I'm doing there, the reason I asked that question is I'm removing the I need to think about it objection, right, at the end. Because if she did say I need to think about it, I'd be like, well, you just told me that you have 6 to 8 months. How much more time do you want to waste before, every single day you're getting 1 day closer to the 6 to 8 month mark where you got to fire a bunch of people, right? So that's why I asked it, because I'm putting a number on it to know how urgent is this, right? Because if she said, well, I could tank this for the next 3 to 5 years, then, I mean, she wouldn't say that. But if she did say that, then I know that there's a very strong chance she's going to be like, I need to think about it, right? I got to figure out a way to kind of like turn this ship around, right? And kind of save the business before, before like just shit hits the fan, basically, right?
Basically,
So you kind of got to figure out another solution, basically. You kind of have no other choice. Is that the case?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Got it. So what have you kind of looked at before, right? Because I'm just going to assume, because you're a business owner, I'm just going to assume that you've kind of like looked around, you weighed your options, maybe talked to some other people.
Yeah.
What have you tried before, other than just strictly LinkedIn or word of mouth? Like what have you tried before?
Well, prior to speaking with you, we've worked with another lead generation agency,
Right.
and I felt like that wasn't much of a success for us. I wouldn't be talking to you right now, right? It's just more so like they weren't able to deliver the results that they promised to deliver, and I felt like the money that I've spent with them wasn't worth to be spent on.
Right. And in terms of specific results, what does that look like? I know you said you didn't deliver the results you're looking for, but what does that kind of look like?
Basically, like with
Okay, so the purpose I asked that question, I said, you worked with someone else and didn't get results. Why do you think that's the case? Ideally, she would have said something like, well, they were doing cold emails and they weren't sending enough emails. Or, well, they were doing cold emails and our open rates was pretty bad. Ideally, she would have said something like that, because if she did say that, inside of my pitch, I would have geared my entire pitch towards how we're different from what they've tried before, right? So for example, what I mean by that is if she said, well, they previously were only sending 50 emails a day, my entire pitch would be talking about how we have a higher volume approach, meaning we're sending way more than 50, right? To create that that differentiating factor. Unfortunately for her, she kind of said she didn't really know, right? Which, meant that I didn't really have ammo to work off of. But that's kind of the goal of that question, right? Is whatever they say, you want to explain in your pitch how what you're doing is completely different from what they've tried before. And that creates more of a gap as well.
We barely were able to get any calls with any of our leads and stuff,
So like
right?
no results, basically.
No results. And even if we're lucky, maybe just as much as we are doing right now, which is not ideal.
Right. And what channels were they using to generate leads? What were they doing, like LinkedIn stuff or emails, running ads? Like, what does that look like? Like, how are they supposedly getting new leads?
I honestly, as bad as it sounds, I actually don't know. I just let them do their own thing. So I can't really answer that question for you right now. Okay, got it. No worries. So I guess help me understand then, because obviously if you tried someone else before, you worked with another service provider. Big question here. You feel kind of burned, just never got the results that you're promised. Why would you consider working with another service provider again, right? Like I know if I got burned, right? I wouldn't, look at doing the same thing again. That clearly didn't work, right? Like what got you interested in, potentially working with us then in that case? So another really big question that these are like questions to pre-handle objections before you hear them, right? I literally straight up ask her, okay, you tried this before, it didn't work. Why are you trying it again, right? Like I straight up ask her, right? And again, I already know what she's gonna say. She's gonna say something along the lines of, well, I need more sales calls. Like I said, we're gonna have to fire people if we don't figure this out. I already know what she's gonna say, right? But the reason I ask it is, again, right, is the power of getting her to sell herself with her own words on why she needs to do this, rather than me just telling her, hey, you need more calls. I'm getting her to say it herself, right? Biggest thing, right? That's kind of how I like to ask my questions, right? So very, very important question. I was just like, because like I mentioned, right? If we don't do anything about this situation, I might need to close down the business, right? And I just really needed a way to kind of save us. And I felt like maybe like the second time might actually be better than the first, right? Who knows? Got it. 100%. It's a risk I'll take. Yeah. I mean, you kind of just have to, just do whatever it takes, right? In order to save the business. I think it's just at a point where you just, the leads have just dried up, right? There's just nothing on the sales out there. And it's, leading to a lot of cash flow issues. And personally, we are a lead generation agency, and I'm very confident that we can definitely help you. If your goal is to book somewhere between 10 and 20 sales calls every single month with these e-commerce brands, it can be done very, very easily. I'd like to run you through. So I'm moving into the transition of the pitch, but I think I kind of fucked up, and I forgot to ask her. Like as I was saying this, I remember I was like, shit, I forgot to ask, do you have other decision makers? So I was starting to bridge those transition, and in my mind, I'm like, shit, I forgot to ask that question, because if I didn't ask it, she might say I need to talk to my business partner. So I luckily for me, I had a way to naturally pull back into that question. So that's what I'm gonna do here, and then move back into the transition. Specifically, how we can do that. I guess before we do that, see, I'm asking now. I saw on LinkedIn that you're the founder. Do you have someone else that kind of overlooks the sales
the marketing, the lead generation, or do you still kind of overlook that yourself right now?
Right now, it's just myself.
Okay, got it. Just yourself. Okay, got it. I mean, we could definitely help you. And I move back in transition. Specifically, we can do that. Run you over like our business in more specific detail if that's cool with you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, awesome, Vanessa. Cool. So just to give you a little bit more background context. Okay, cool. So that's kind of the discovery section. I'm gonna pause right here for now. We are 9 minutes in. So the first 10 minutes of the call, I basically got all the information I need. I understood, number one, what are they doing to book calls? Why that sucks? What is the problem with that? And I pre-handled to remove a lot of the potential objections. I removed that I need to think about it. I can't do this right now. And I removed the decision maker objection, right? I got to talk to this other person. Do you guys have any questions about like this discovery, this first 10 or so minutes of the discovery so far? What questions do you guys have? Shola, you go first, and then I'll go to Travis afterwards.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Okay, so I noticed that as she came on, she only mentioned just one of her pains. I mean, I could understand, and that was just basically she's not booking enough calls. Is that enough to, I mean, based on you're very experienced and your flow is phenomenal. And of course, you've been doing it for some time now. But when you're looking to sell something to a client, the first thing that you want to try and identify, especially this way that you're taking it, is identifying the pain. That one pain, is that enough to, as me as a beginner, is that enough for me to close that deal? Because I would probably thinking that maybe I'll need one or two just so that I can tick boxes and say, there, you've got this wrong with you, just to develop the core. Yeah?
Good question. I think the best
just for the one.
I think the best way to look at it is not from a number of problems, but how big of a problem it is, right? So I think where a lot of people mess up on sales calls is they say something like, why are you here today? And then the person will say something like, well, we want more sales calls. And then let's assume you get quantifiable numbers. Well, we're booking 5 calls right now. We want 10 to 20. And then people just move on, right? But they think when they hear, oh, I'm booking 5 calls right now and I want to 10 to 20, they think that's a problem, but that's not a problem, right? That's a goal, right? I want 10 to 20. I'm at 5 right now. But if you move on with just that information, probably 99% chance you're not going to close the deal because there's no problem there, right? You got to figure out, you basically have to understand, okay, you're booking 5 calls. What type of impact is that having on your business? What's that doing to you personally, right? What does that mean for you, right? Basically, that's the overall gist of it, right? And I think you just got to strike that balance. I think for Vanessa specifically in this sales call example, when I heard her say, well, you're going to lay off some people, I in my head, I was like, yeah, that's a pretty bad problem. It's probably one of the worst problems you can have in business in general. And I knew that I didn't necessarily need to dig any deeper because, it's pretty self-explanatory. That's a bad problem to have. And that's kind of how you just want to go about it, right? Is you just can't keep a surface level of, I need more sales calls. Well, no shit, right? That's what we're here for, right? You just can't hear that and move on to the next question and call it a day. Otherwise, it won't work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Okay. And I feel that your probing actually made her talk a lot more, which is, of course, trying to understand the way that you handle the question, handle the question that you're questioning her. It's kind of brought a lot out of her. That's obviously given you that opportunity as well. So thank you for that. Thanks.
100%. And maybe it's not accurately portrayed because this video recording is sped up by like 1.25. But in the live conversation, I tried my best in terms of tonality to sound curious. As in, like, I'm not just asking question after question after question because that's on my sales script. I'm just genuinely curious. Okay, you're telling me that you're getting 5 calls. Okay, help me understand. What's that doing to your business? Right? What does that do for you? Right? So it's kind of like if your friends is talking about some random stuff, you're just curious, right? You're asking them more questions because you're legitimately curious. Oh, what does that mean for you, right? And that's kind of what I'm trying to do. And maybe, again, right, this recording is sped up, so the tonality is kind of like removed there. But that's kind of what I'm trying to do there, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, I get that. Yeah, fantastic. And I was just going to ask, do you deliberately just wear black all the time when you've got meetings?
I don't deliberately wear black. It just so happens my wardrobe is black, or most of my clothes is black, right? So even like right now, I'm wearing black. Over here in this call, I was wearing a black crew neck, I think. Um,
Yeah, okay.
but no, I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just so happens all my clothes are black. Yeah.
I don't know. You noticed the videos that I sent you. I wasn't sure how to position myself. Okay, I'm a black lady. Should I wear black? Should I keep it plain? Am I too close? I'm just really practicing. I've done so many, and it took a lot for me to send those few that I sent to you. But I still felt like, look, I have to send you something. But I'm quite confident to say what I'm saying, but I just wanted you to see, have I got the right tone?
Yeah.
Should I move back a bit? Should I be a bit more plain? The mannerism and everything else. Somebody like yourself, I feel that it'd be easier for you to be able to correct that.
100%. Yeah, no, no, no. I completely feel that. But yeah. Travis, I think you had a question, and then after your question, we're gonna continue the sales call recording.
Yeah. So did you write these questions down beforehand, before the call, or is this just kind of like, are you kind of going with the flow based upon where you kind of feel and the conversation needs to go? Or yeah, that's the first question. And the second question I had was, what do you do when they are basically the pain is not that deep? So it's like, yeah, I saw you had this AI personalization thing, and I was just kind of curious about it. We already have like our own outbound methods and whatnot, and they're not like super pain like she is.
Yeah. Okay, so the first question is no, I didn't write down the questions. I just whether it was like I don't think I purposely memorized it. I just memorized the phases of the call, right? So I understand it that how the call needs to go specifically, like just in general, is you always start by, hey, what got you interested in booking this call? So very first question. From that question, she's either gonna say, I'm looking to do XYZ. I saw your video or your email and I thought it was interesting, or I'm struggling with XYZ problem, right? So after you start with that intro, the what got you interested in booking a call, you move into the problem phase. After the problem phase, current situation. Okay, so what are you doing right now to get all of these sales? What are you doing right now to do XYZ? After current situation, goals. Okay, what are you looking to achieve? Right? So problem, current situation, goals. And then I move into pre-handling objections. Okay, do you have any other decision makers? The time objection, right? There's different ways to go about it. In her specific case, it was pretty easy to get the time objection because she said she was gonna fire people. And I was like, how long do you have, right? So that was a really easy way to do that. But then I also asked her, do you have other, people making this decision? So I didn't memorize the script, but I also taken so many sales calls that I just understand the flow of where things go and in a way to make it natural. So that's the first answer. Your second question was, sorry, what was your second question, Travis?
No worries. I almost forgot it myself. No, when they don't have pain, like
Okay.
it's not, or they're not at least signaling pain. Because I've been on calls before where it's like, um, even I have to say, like maybe even ego driven, where it's like, yeah, we're doing fine, we're doing great, but yet you're on this call with me, and they just don't really want to reveal the underlying pain, but you get sort of the surface level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was interested in the AI and personalization and stuff. How do you proceed then? How do you just continue digging or
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. Well, let's say they say, I'm interested. I saw your email. I was interested in the AI stuff. Okay, awesome. So, Mr. Prospect, what are you doing right now to generate sales calls? They're gonna tell you, well, we do XYZ. Well, do you like it? They're probably gonna say, yeah, I like it. It's doing pretty good. My next question would be, okay, so you're using LinkedIn and you like it. What would you change about it if you could? So what I'm doing there, right, is I'm starting to take the frame and I'm positioning it as, okay, it's working well for you, but nothing is perfect, right? Like even like you buy a car, you love the car, but there's gonna be certain things that you would change about the car if you could. You like what you're doing, but what would you change about it if you could? And from that, you're starting to get problems, right? So that's how I would go about it, if that makes sense. Like that's the specific word track that I would use. Okay, what would you change about it if you could? Right? That's the word track I would use. But I think the overall mindset of it is they definitely do have a problem. Otherwise, they're not going to be on the call, right? I think that's the most important thing to understand is they're not just going to be wasting time talk about some random bullshit if they don't have a serious problem there, right? And you guys got to probe deeper. I think that's the best way to explain it is they're going to tell you, well, I like it, but I want it to be more high volume, right? Let's say they say that. Okay, you want it to be more high volume. What do you mean by that? Right? So you're expanding it into specific numbers. How long has that been going on for? Specific timelines. Okay, and what type of impact does that have for your business? So I'm digging deeper and deeper and deeper with each of those questions. Does that make sense, Travis?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the challenger sales method where you don't take the first answer as obvious. You ask them a follow-up question, say like, why do you think cold outreach email is even a good idea for your business? Like, why
Yeah.
wouldn't you just continue doing ads or whatever? I like how you did that too, but that was great.
100%. Got it. But cool. Okay, let's finish this recording first. We have 10 minutes left. And let's go through this. Jimmy, and right now I have two businesses. So the first is this lead generation agency where we specialize in working with marketing agencies pretty much exactly like you, helping them book qualified sales calls every single month. I also have a second business, which I'm pretty much helping people start and make money online, but that's kind of a little bit unrelated. But that's just more background context on me. We've been running the lead generation agency, and pretty much I speak with a lot of like business founders and business owners every single day, and they usually come to me with three key problems that they're currently facing in their business, right? The first is, they are just struggling to book sales calls, like whatsoever, right? Like maybe they're just starting a business, just zero in their calendar. The second problem that they typically come with is someone exactly like you, Vanessa, where they have something that's going on, they've been running their business for a little while, but what they're doing right now is just not getting it done. I'm giving her identity. That's what I'm doing here. It's either not enough to, it's not creating enough cash flow, or it's not going to get them to where they want to get to. And that's kind of where you are. And the third type of businesses that I chat with are people who they're just getting great results. They're booking a lot of sales calls. I don't know, they're doing cold emails, whatever they're doing, and they kind of want to scale up their efforts because they just have aggressive sales calls. And honestly, Vanessa, we'd love to get you to that third point where you're just kind of scaling in that aggressive scaling phase. Does all that make sense so far?
Yeah.
Cool. So kind of how we specifically help our clients at our lead generation agency is there's kind of three key pillars. I know you said you watched that video that we sent over that even like led to the sales call. So what we do is entirely through cold emails. We don't do anything else. We're not running ads, LinkedIn, whatever. We're just strictly cold emails. And we kind of help our clients in three key ways. The first key pillar is we just help them identify, number one, who it is that they're trying to sell to. I know you mentioned that when they're posting on LinkedIn, the biggest problem, the biggest bottleneck that you are facing. I'm taking your answer from earlier. Aimlessly, you feel very aimless, right? Like you're kind of just firing a lot of shots and nothing is kind of sticking or it's going towards the wrong people. So the very first thing that we'll do together is really just define who it is that you're trying to sell to and make sure that any sales calls that are put on your calendar, they're directly with these health and wellness brands and they're exactly what you're looking for. So that's the first pillar, making sure you're talking to the right group of people. The second key pillar is building the actual system. So our entire strategy, our entire AI cold email funnel, as the name implies, it revolves around cold emails. So what we're doing is we're sending cold emails to the direct decision makers at these e-commerce brands, these health and wellness e-commerce brands. And we're basically generating interest, we're warming them up and putting them onto your sales calendar. That's pretty much the entire premise of what we do. And that's the second pillar. So we built the actual system that allows you to get these results and book 10 to 20 sales calls every single month, strictly through cold emails. And the third key pillar that we do is we run the system for you, completely done for you on a day-to-day basis. So you can obviously go and learn how to do cold emails yourself, or implement it yourself, or even just run it in-house. But the key problem that a lot of people run into is they either just don't know how, number one, or even if they do know how, they just don't really want to do it themselves, right? You're a business owner. I know how it is because I run, I'm the founder of my own business as well. My day is packed and I just don't want to be spending my time, replying back to people, doing all these random little things. It's just pretty much a waste of time. So that's the third core pillar is we're just generating these sales calls for you pretty much on autopilot where you don't have to lift a finger. And the only thing that you do is, just see these calls on your calendar, jump onto these calls, talk with these, decision makers and just close these deals. So that's kind of the three key pillars of how we. So notice how high level I did. I did not talk about we're going to, buy you domains. We're going to buy Microsoft accounts. We're going to warm it up for 14. I didn't talk about any of those things, right? Because number one, if you do the VSL correctly, they should have a high level idea of how everything works anyways. But number two, she probably doesn't give a shit, right? And if I did talk about that, I'll be pulling the conversation in a way that's just way too technical and the chance of closing will be very, very low because then it should be too logical, right? So notice how everything I said, I summarized it in three key pillars. I found three to be the best amount. Three core pillars, and I'm tying it to our outcome, right? So I'm just talking about things on a very high level, but very outcome focused. Here's what we'll be doing as the first pillar, second pillar, and third pillar with the goal of getting you to 10 to 20 sales calls a month, right? That's basically what I'm doing there, right? And I'm not talking about we're using Smartly, we're using Apollo, we're doing all these random little things, right? So that's what I'm doing. We help, how we basically help you with getting to 10 to 20 sales calls every single month. I know that was like super, super high level, but what questions do you have about how all of this works specifically? So I opened that up. So after I finish it, I always like to say, what questions do you have about that specifically? Because in the case where she is curious about, how are you warming up your email account? That's where she'll ask it, right? But I'm never saying it first in case she doesn't care, right? But I always say, what questions do you have about that in case she does care?
I think what I'm more worried about, or like what I'm more concerned about, is how much will this cost?
Yeah. So she directly asked me about how much it costs. And notice how I will take care of it. So what I'm going to do before I take care of price is I'm doing like a gauge check on how confident she is that what I do, pricing aside, could help her, right? So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm kind of sidestepping her question when she first asked me about pricing here. I honestly could have dropped the price, but I chose not to do it here. 100%. And I love, I'd be happy to run you through the investment and what that process involves. But before I do that, I guess pricing aside, how confident on a scale of 1 to 10 that this is kind of what you need to, number one, make sure that your business doesn't continue on the downwards trajectory, but how confident are you that this is what you need in order to get you to your goal of 10 to 20 sales calls every single month?
I would say I'm pretty confident, but it's also because, like I mentioned before, like with my past experience,
right,
I'm a little skeptical. So
100%.
Yeah, but I just kind of want this to work. Got it.
And when you say pretty confident, why is that? Like, why? So again, I'm getting her to sell herself. So at this section, I'm doing a lot of whys, right? So you guys are going to see it, but I'm asking her a question. Do you feel confident? She's like, sure. Why? Why are you confident? Right? So I'm getting her to pre-sell herself.
I've done a little research after the fact, like after the whole experience previously, and I feel like now that like I'm more like hands-on a little towards it, I kind of know what's going on and like kind of understand how it's done. So yeah, that's basically one.
Right. So you kind of like believe in the channel, which is called emails, correct?
Yeah.
I'm asking her if she believes it. 100%. Does she believe in me? Confident that we are the service provider that could potentially get you these 10 to 20 calls using cold emails?
Yeah.
Why? See, notice how I asked why.
I think it's just based on all the info that like you've provided me, and as well as like I've watched your YouTube videos and all that stuff. I think you know what you're doing, and it gives me the confidence to really trust you into like working with us and helping us generate the leads that we generate.
100%. Got it. So where would you like to go from here? Closing question.
Maybe like the pricing, like I mentioned earlier.
Right.
And see, I just want to understand how much it costs for you to provide a service that we're looking for.
Yeah. So our entire service, it's $3,000 just to set everything up. So it'll be $3,000 right now. And every single sales call that we generate for you, it would be $300. And so what that means is if we just do a terrible job and I think where I kind of did not that good was this section where I'm kind of rambling. Probably could have just ended it with it's $300 per call, right? But I ended up rambling for like 20 seconds or something. So probably what I would change if I could go back, paying for it, right? So the $3,000 is to set up this entire system, just to get started even, right? If you were doing this yourself, it'll still cost you a similar amount of money. And we get paid entirely on the results that we generate. So if we do a great job, then we'll make more, but you will also make more. If we don't do as good of a job, then we obviously don't get paid. So that's what the pricing looks like.
Okay, but like, I know, like I'm just thinking about this. It's the price is a little steep for us right now.
Right.
Is there like anything else you can kind of like offer, like, I don't know, to lower the cost by, I don't know, a little bit?
Right. And when you say lower the cost by a little bit. So what I'm going to do here, it's going to happen to probably all of you guys on your sales calls. People are going to ask for discounts. That's just the nature of it. Even if you can offer discounts, you never want to just say, oh yeah, we could do it for $2,000 or we could do it for $2,500. I always do a temperature check. Okay, why is that? What do you have in mind? And then what I do after that is ask for commitment before I give the discount. What, like, what do you have in mind there?
I think our budget's around $2,500.
$2,500.
Max.
Okay. And pricing aside, let's just say hypothetically,
another confidence check,
or it was free, whatever, right? Would this be something that you'd be looking to get started on today?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Why is that? Why is that?
Kind of want to like get into momentum and stuff.
Got it, 100%. Well, I'll be honest with you. We don't really do discounts, right? You're a service provider as well. It's not a good reflection to just offer discounts and stuff like that. But I'm just thinking here for a sec. But if I could get your commitment to move forward today, and we were able to get started for $2,500, would this be something that you're looking to do right now?
Yeah, potentially. What about, are you able to, do you charge for consulting calls as well?
Consulting calls in what way?
And let's say midway through, like I might have like some questions, right?
Right.
Like, and a call with you. Are you able to include, I don't know, maybe like 3 calls within that price? And then whatever afterwards, we can charge like whatever your rates are.
Right. So, I mean, I guess the beauty of the system is we're kind of running the entire thing for you. So from your perspective, think of it as delegating the outreach aspect of this, lead generation aspect of this. Okay, so what I'm doing here, so the rest of the call, right? She's pretty much closed here, right? Because the way she's asking her question, but she's basically asking me, do you have to pay for consulting calls? I was like, no, you don't. Think of it as delegating. Because that's a key word that a lot of business owners, they feel nice when they're like, oh, I'm delegating this away, right? So that's why I said that, like specifically, you're delegating it because it hits on the ego. But that's basically how I did that, right? And then she basically take care of the invoice. And I know we only have 4 minutes left, so I'm not gonna play the remaining 3 minutes. But basically what I do after that is I'm like, where would you like to go from here? She's like, I want to take care of this to actually, I think there's a section where she says she wants to take care of this next week. Let me just skip ahead. Here's who we're emailing. Here's the amount of sales stuff that you're booking. Consistent calls directly with you. They get.
I think I'll do it. Like would want to start like next week kind of thing.
Why next week? Why next week?
Just to get things started. Like I mentioned, the momentum starting to get going. And I really don't want to like prolong how little sales or the amount of like calls we're generating with their leads and stuff.
That makes sense. Then in that case, why not get started today?
Sure.
You sure?
That's true. That's true. Or yeah.
Right. Because what you were telling me earlier is if you continue. So okay, so that was a little bit easier. But I think a lot of it is, I think what I learned about sales calls is you just gotta be a little bit uncomfortable and ask really uncomfortable questions. So I think it's very easy when people say, oh, I'll get started next week. Because in the beginning, I would just kind of be like, all right, it's fine, we'll get started next week, right? But then what I started realizing is because I was uncomfortable saying, why not right now, right? And for a lot of people, you'd be pretty surprised. They actually don't really have a reason for why not right now. It's just, I don't want to get started right now. I want to do it next week, right? So I'm literally asking the uncomfortable, why not right now, right? And, you know, it could be uncomfortable to ask that and it could go wrong if you ask it the wrong way, right? So you got to be smart with how you're doing it in the overall context. But that's basically the sales call. I know we have 2 minutes left, so I'm gonna answer one question. I do have a sales call right after this, actually. But what questions do you guys have about this? Anyone have a question?
I have a quick question.
Sure,
I
Shola.
think I've posted it already. You said if you did it yourself, it will be similar. When you mentioned the price, why did you say that?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of fucked up there because I honestly would have just said it's $3,000 and $300 per call, and I probably would have just ended it there. But then I kind of messed up and continued rambling. So if I could go back, I probably would have just stopped it there. But yeah, I probably wouldn't have said that, to be honest with you, right? If I could go back.
Just a quick say, it's something that I probably would use. But now you say that you messed up because it does seem like you're letting her know that look, if you're going to do it yourself, it's going to cost around about the same thing, and I'm not sure if you can be bothered. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I asked that because I took notes and I just thought, oh, that seems good. But if you're saying now that it's not really what you'd normally say, then maybe not. And it also could go left sometimes when you say something like that. But yeah, I think that call went really well. In as much as you felt that you were rambling, it went really well.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
And these calls don't have to take very long. So whenever I see people take like 1 hour long, what I think is they're just asking the wrong questions, right? They're asking questions for the sake of asking questions or they're rambling. And you just need to understand what you're asking, why you're asking for, and what you're looking for. And if you do it the right way, as evident, right? Discovery is like 10 minutes, right? Your pitch is 5 minutes. Final 5 minutes, objection handling and closing, right? It doesn't have to take very long. And whenever I see people take a long time, I just think they're asking the wrong questions or they talk about irrelevant things. So always keep a high level, hold the frame, lead the conversation, right? be curious, which is probably the most important part. Be curious about when you say this, what do you mean? What type of impact did that have? Right? And I think that's just the most important part. But this was a good call today, guys. Hopefully this was valuable for all of you guys. Hit me up on Discord if you guys do have any questions. I do have a sales call right now, so I do have to go. But appreciate your time today, guys. So hopefully you find value in this video. If you do, make sure you drop me a like, make sure you drop me a subscribe. And if you want more content like this, where I literally show to people what I'm currently doing at my own lead generation agency, where I break down my own cold emails, my own VSLs, my own sales calls exactly like this, then use the first link in the description below, set up a call, and let's see if we could actually work together to help you start your own lead generation agency and scale from 0 to 5 to 10 grand in the next 90 days. But hope you enjoyed this video. See ya.